Alrighty, boys and girls, we got everyone's favorite guest, Tom Hughes, back on the wood panel. Thanks for coming back through. I know you're a really busy guy. You look like a guy that's got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I planted 4 fruit trees today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What kind of fruit? I feel like that's pretty vague.
I got crab apples, Asian pears, peaches, and cherries.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Just normal peaches and cherries, but crab apples and Angry Birds.
Yeah, Asian pear.
Oh, yeah, Asian pear.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
So, what's been going on in your life since you got famous on this podcast?
I know. Hello, all my fans out there.
All 20 of you.
Yeah, all 20.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're up to 280 views now.
Yeah, 280
Some of you
views.
watched twice, so thank you.
I think a couple people watched 4 times. Like,
Nice.
let's go. Maybe me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Probably me. I just log in on every device. Like, let's go.
Probably me and all my family.
Yeah, they're like, oh, sweet. Logan,
Yeah.
what the heck's that guy doing? Your dad's like,
Yeah.
yeah, Logan, he was a good baseball player.
Yep. Yeah, everybody's impressed by the quality, so
Oh, nice.
that's nice.
Well,
Yep.
okay, I can make the video look good. Let's see if we can get some more quality content rolling
Yeah.
here.
Shout out to Buckwheat.
Yeah, shout out Buckwheat. Thank
Yeah.
you for showing up and doing, your part and everything. We really appreciate you.
Send in your questions if you can live
Yeah.
on air.
Yeah, and
But,
Tom was coming fully prepared to ask Buckwheat like 20 questions,
Yep.
and he didn't show up. So now here we are, and we're just gonna
Yep.
do what we do best and just
Yep.
raw dog it.
Yep. And shout out to Blake. We're missing our cameraman today.
Yeah, shout out Blake. Blake,
Yeah.
so dude, Blake bought a freaking really expensive house.
Yeah.
He had like the biggest nightmare ever, which I did too. As soon as you buy your house, but his was in the first week.
Yeah.
His
that's
whole
right.
basement floods. And then he's like, well, it was just the unfinished part. Goes back in, he starts walking on the carpet. It's like completely flooded. Dude, that is the true nightmare. You're like,
That's-
well, I just bought this new house, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden I'm freaking walking on water. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. I guess the previous owners were just kind of waiting for that.
Yeah, I think they, that's just a little bit of actually Blake's was just like a faulty sump
Yeah,
pump, which
which is
is just
weird.
like, yeah.
Weird
That
timing.
just, if you guys get anything out of this episode, check your sump pump, because that happened
Yeah.
to me too, and it's a real
it
it's a real
is.
dad advice thing, but it really is like check your sump pump and
Yeah.
make sure that the battery is
Yeah.
good.
Wear safety glasses and check your sump pump.
Yep,
That's-
always wear safety glasses. Eye protection is so important. Ray Hughes taught us
Yeah.
that, and I still kind of use it, kind of don't. I also was
Mhm.
always told don't rub your eyes, and for some reason it really makes me just want to rub the shit out of my
Yeah.
eyes, dude. Like,
Yep.
so
No, if I'm doing stuff nowadays, I'm like, I could kind of do it without safety glasses, but I put them on. 'Cause
Oh,
if you think
nice.
about it, you only got one set.
yeah, and
Yeah.
dude, I've seen like people wearing safety glasses and a grinder breaks off and like part of it
Oh.
goes like right up to the
Yep, I've
the
seen that.
glasses. I'm like, shoo, good thing you had safety glasses on,
Yep.
Devin, because you'd be done for. You'd be Devin the blind guy.
Yep, totally. Well, what do we got today?
What's your what's your life been looking like? I never really get like a full update.
Yeah,
You're like the most
secret.
vague, secretive explainer ever. Like,
Yeah. Outside a lot this time of year, especially. It's getting warmer.
nice.
A lot of gardening, just getting that. That's a real, I was thinking about that the other day. That's a real investment. People invest in the stock market or gold and silver and this and that. Yeah, those aren't really real things, but putting a fruit tree in that will
Yeah.
fruit for 10, 12, 20, 30 years, depending on the variety. That's a food, that's an investment there. If things happen where you can't access real good quality food, you got it.
Dude, I've
So-
been thinking about investments too, and my life recently has just been literally just going to estate sales, yard sales, just
Yeah.
getting all kinds of stuff ready for my store and investing. It's like it's a lot more than what I even thought. Like, as I'm like buying stuff, I'm like, man, I'm really making a large investment in this. So I hope that people will support it and come and like buy
Yeah.
stuff. It's kind of scary, but it's very fun for me. This is what I love
Yeah,
doing.
it's
So,
fun.
but yeah, the investment part of it is like you don't really. I guess it's kind of how everything starts though. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have some type of passion, and then you're like, all right, I probably should try to make money off this somehow, and all of a sudden you've got freaking tens of thousands of dollars into something, and you're like, all right. I hope this works out. And that's kind of how
Yeah.
everything worked for
Yeah.
me. When I
Yeah.
went to be a barber, it was just like, all right, I'm gonna throw a lot of money into this and hopefully it works. That was $20,000. Then when I started like a photo and video
Yep.
business, I was like, all right, here's $30,000. I hope this works. And they've both worked out well. So I'm hoping that
Nice.
the vintage store works. That's
Yeah.
coming to a theater soon near you.
Yep.
My grand opening is May 10th.
Oh, nice.
Yep. That's
Didn't know.
3706 DeCourcy Avenue. We're gonna have
Wow.
Ricky Willis, who was here, tintype
Yeah.
photographer. He's gonna be doing tintypes, uh, every kind of
Nice.
pizza you could imagine, probably. Yeah, just pizza galore. Bring your own Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
water bottles,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, BPA free, please.
Yeah.
Please. We don't want to watch people getting microplastics.
Yeah,
while-
exactly. Come
I don't
on,
want to
guys.
see people that's in there freaking killing themselves
Yep.
over little
Yep.
vintage goods.
Well, and that if Buckwheat were here, he'd probably talk about the water. So he got the taste. I brought him that sweet water the
Oh
other day.
yeah,
So that
dude.
might be something.
You did bring us water, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, most of the time I'm a real guy. I'm realistic, but I did taste a difference in the
Yep.
water. I was like, okay, this is It felt thick. It
Yeah.
felt like it felt nutritious to me.
It
And I was
did,
like, and that when you told me like, yeah, this just comes straight from Earth. I'm like,
Yeah.
where's this water coming from? And it's like virgin water. It's
Yeah.
from
From the earth.
yeah, it's from
yeah.
inside. It's never seen
Yep.
the light of day.
Yep.
It's not part of the water cycle. So
Yeah. Very good.
well, I was like, wow, that this is non-tainted with water.
Exactly. Yeah, so they've done like these things before. They've had like young kindergartners. They show them pictures of fruits and vegetables, and then pictures of like McDonald's and all. And
Yeah.
they can identify all 10 of the logos of the food, but like some of the fruits and vegetables and things they can't. Same thing with water. Like that's actually a valid question when you ask, like, where does this come from?
Yeah.
People, we've gotten so far removed, we don't realize that like water comes from the earth or in different ways.
Well,
other
for
than
me,
turn
when
the
you
tap.
said that it comes from, in
Mhm.
the earth, I'm like, but where? And that gets like, you can go as deep as you
Yeah.
want with that, but
Right,
then,
right.
you're only used to learning about water in the water cycle.
Yep.
And, we just learn condensation, precipitation, and evaporation. And it's just like that big circle.
Yep.
And for me, I'm like, there's water that we haven't tapped into. Seems crazy.
Yeah.
And that where is it coming from? So the earth is just abundant of fresh water, which I guess is
Mm-hmm.
why we are here,
Right. Right.
which is just, I don't know. It just seems so crazy.
It is. Yeah.
It makes me feel like, it really starts making me question things like, what's going on here? And is this I
Yeah.
think about this all the time when I start thinking about talking to you. Is like, is this the only place that there's life? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do you think?
I mean, I think that there's like the inner earth, so I think you can go deep inside the earth, and there might be old civilizations in there. I think that there's lands that we're not even aware of on this realm, that we just can't access.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it's all pretty local to this realm, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think there's other stuff going on that we don't realize.
What do you think about the other side of the ice wall?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's necessarily an ice wall, but I think there might be more lands out there. It makes some sense with some things
Yeah.
I've seen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You said that you seen that like scientists have traveled there, and then
Right.
there's things that happen that are just
Weird.
weird and not able to explain. And for me, sometimes when you first hear that, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of closed minded and you're
Right,
like, what
right.
the hell? But then again, just like what I just said, water coming from the earth doesn't make sense.
Right.
So something so simple that we're used to,
Mm-hmm.
when you break it down, us breathing this oxygen, the air that happens to be
Mhm.
on here that keeps us
Mhm.
alive, doesn't make sense. So who are we to say this doesn't make sense, and we're scared to get there. You know what I mean? Because we're so conditioned to think how they want us to think. This is going to sound so crazy, conspiracy theory guy, you know, and I'm never closed off to that. I just like to sit and be like, what the hell could be real?
Yep.
You know?
There's more we don't know than we do know.
And that's with everything, I would think, right?
Everything, yep. Human body, ocean, all that stuff. But yeah, the water thing is, if people look into that and stuff, your good old Google's going to tell you, no, it's kind of this. But if you start digging deeper and deeper, and you get some good books, and you start to really get into like some deep research, you'll start to see things called primary water, and then that even gets into other aspects. Like it's all based around scarcity mindset, you know. So it's like everyone wants you to believe, especially the powers that be will say that things are scarce. There's not enough water. There's not enough food. There's not enough space, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when you get back to the earth and you start living like, you know, the way I do and whatnot, you start to realize like, holy cow, like I'm provided for. Everything I need is here.
Yeah.
I just have to learn the skills to be able to see it. I can go out in the woods now and identify all kinds of foods. I could show you how to access water, and those are the basics of what you need.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I mean, that's fun too, because like that scarcity thing is so far ingrained in us where, you know, if you get to like, obviously we're not going to change, like normal people just don't have the ability to change instantly overnight to go from like shopping at a grocery store to farmstead. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like, you know, people are like, eggs are so expensive. And then, you know, people that have farmstead are like, well, I just get my own eggs, so that doesn't affect me. And the same thing with all of those things. You know, I grow my own vegetables, so that doesn't affect me, and all these things. But it's like, to me, that's so crazy. Like, I couldn't do that. For one, I live in a neighborhood, so it's not realistic. Like, I'm not building like a standalone garden or anything. So your brain gets away from that very fast. And then, I mean, even since the beginning of time, pilgrims created surplus for winter and stuff. It was for scarcity. It was to be scared into, which obviously crops and stuff like that. You're not going to have those in the winter, but meat and things like you could get those at any time.
Yep. And everything is based off of convenience. That's sort of like the carrot on the end of the stick is convenience.
Yeah.
So my lifestyle is not convenient. It takes hard work. I've gotten to a point where I've streamlined it, where it's convenient for me and I've figured things out. But for most people, it's nice to get into the car and go to the Kroger, go to the grocery store. Like that, it's all based on convenience. But when you live entirely on that aspect of convenience, you start to lose other aspects of your life. So your health starts to go down because you're focused more on fast food, convenient store. So there's a trade-off there. What one thinks is convenient might not really be, especially later on in life when people's health is failing or people are anxious and they've got all this emotional stuff going on. They don't know what it's from. So convenience is kind of the trick they try and get you in the door with. But once you kind of say no to that and start to live a different way, you start to realize what's possible. And convenience.
Do you think that falling basically victim to convenience is a lack of discipline? You think it coincides?
There's a big aspect of that, a big aspect of self-discipline, and just there's no way around it. At some point, you've just got to kind of do it. You just got to kind of tell yourself, like, all right, I'm going to get up out of my funk and get through this.
I feel like that's widespread. You know, that can apply to so many things in life. Like, discipline applies to all things.
Right.
You know, if you want to work out and you tell yourself you can't, or I hate when people say they don't have time because, you know,
that's not
I
true.
do so many things, and I'm not trying to like be like, I do so many things. I'm not trying to be that guy, but it's like, for things that I care about, I make the time.
Right.
You know
That's
what I mean?
what you gotta
and
do.
you can, like today, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go find these thrift finds because I wanted to be able to still do the podcast today. I still wanted to be able to do things. And truly, doing that just opens your mind so quickly because, like, the old people that, like, get up at 5, your day, you're adding another freaking 4 hours to your day. So you get to like 9:30 or 10, and you're like, dude, it's only 9:30 or 10
Yeah.
o'clock. Like, there's still a whole day left for
Yeah,
me.
it's awesome. Yeah, that really beats it because you fall into a vicious cycle where people, if you stay up super, super late and then wake up
Yeah.
late, you lose half your day and you
Yeah.
just get stuck in that cycle. Eventually you have to break it. But yeah, another big thing of convenience, you said like, exercise or something. A big thing too is your overall health. And nowadays with all these fake kind of weight loss drugs and
Yeah.
poisons on the market, that's an example of convenience that doesn't give you what is true and what is real. That's sort of like, yeah, people are losing all this weight, but what comes with it is very dark and very dangerous. And that's a big convenience thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that convenient drug, Ozempic,
Right.
um give me like the details that you know about it, because that seems like something that's a real fad right now,
Right.
and it's real prominent. People are taking it and using
Right.
it. What what lasting effects, just like scientifically, do you see, or you'll see that happen with that? And what do you think is
Mm-hmm.
causing, besides the
Right.
what's making people want to do that? Obviously, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
the instant like ability to uh lose all that
Right.
weight, but
Right.
like what's the lasting effects? And the weight doesn't stay off.
Right, right. And I will say nowadays it is for a lot of folks difficult to lose weight. People say all the time, even in my clinical work, like working one on one with people, very
Yeah.
serious. People say, I've been doing this, and I believe them. I really do, because
Yeah.
sometimes I help coach them and all that. And prior to the coaching, though, they'll usually say, I've done the diets, I've done this. And they're true. It is having a hard time to lose that weight because there's more to it than just the weight loss aspect. There's toxicity in the body. The body doesn't necessarily want to let that go, blah, blah, blah. So that's just a little side note. Second, with these kind of drugs like Ozempic and these kind of GLP-1 antagonists, these lasting side effect wise, these anything that affects your hormone system, which these do, is bad territory. That includes, ladies out there, hormone replacement therapy. All these, people think it's just, oh, I'm lower and my hormones are decreasing or this or that when I'm getting older, or men with testosterone. That's not natural. Our bodies don't need any input at all of exogenous non-identical hormones. There's no such thing as bioidentical hormones, by the way. But anyway, anytime you mess with the hormonal system, you're messing with a really fine balance. And once you get that out of whack, it's very hard to get that back. It's
Yeah.
possible, but it's hard. So things like Ozempic, that's what it's doing in a way. There's black box label warnings on some of these drugs. There's FDA trials that were kind of swept under the rug for different types of cancers that go on. Like thyroid is one of these kind of master glands for hormonal system. There's thyroid cancer issues. A big one is, oh, I feel constipated on these, but you're not just constipated. Your bowels are literally slowly stopping to work in a way. So huge backups, and you
Yeah.
need to constantly be removing that toxicity. So the big thing is going to be just overall toxic stagnation in the body. So bowel stuff, cancers, buildup, and all that. Because you're, again, convenience, that folks at the end of the day always say this: there are no shortcuts. Because
Right.
believe me, I would have I would have tried a lot of these.
Yeah.
Because I grew up, always, like I always say, like in martial arts, I would try and find every cheat code there was to like stand in a stance.
Yeah.
So like putting sticks in my pants or
Yeah.
something to get over it. That's our nature as humans, I think. So, but yeah, when it comes to health, there really are no shortcuts.
What exactly is Ozempic doing to your body?
It's basically telling you that you're not hungry in a way. I'll break it
Yeah,
down
yeah.
as simple as possible because it's a very complex drug and mechanism of action. And even I don't fully understand it. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone really
Yeah,
does.
exactly.
I
Because it's
think
so new. There's not
yeah,
been research on it.
right. And I think they got kind of just lucky with the way it works,
Yeah.
just like a lot of drugs. And you can get into this idea. A lot of drugs, in a way, are almost like magical potions.
It started off as a diabetic.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what it's used
Right.
for. It's a
And that,
diabetic.
yes, yeah. And people will say like, "Oh, you got to keep it on the market because it's good for this." That's a whole nother story. This
Yeah.
blood sugar issue going on, that's a whole nother story, and no one's touching on the root cause of that either. But basically, it tells you in a way that you're not hungry, and so you start to eat less. And it has some downstream effect with kind of like sugar metabolism, like
Yeah.
blood glucose and all that. Um, but really, there's some effects in there that they're not even mentioning that I think have to do again with the hormonal system as well as the mental, emotional components of the body.
Yeah.
Like when I start to get deep here on what's going on, so it's sort of like putting folks in a really like stagnant state where it's just kind of like dullness and this kind of like almost like what psychiatric drugs do to people, like
Yeah.
put you in kind of a like a zombified state. It's kind of putting your digestive system, metabolism in a zombified state. Yeah.
To me, it's so scary that people are like, they're so
Hmm.
happy that it's making them less hungry. And I'm like,
Right.
I don't know how to control to be less
Hmm.
hungry. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's a learned habit
Hmm.
or if it's just you're saying fuel yourself with better foods.
Hmm.
Uh, because when you're active, you're hungry.
Right.
But I don't know where stagnant hunger comes from. Is that
Right.
just like is that a brain?
There's, I would say, here's the big thing. In our country, most people are overfed but undernourished, which
Okay.
means we keep eating because all the foods we eat are empty, but
Yeah.
our body keeps starving for nutrition, for true vitamins, for true minerals, and all the foods we're eating are empty. So the body keeps, okay, well, I got to do more. I got to find it somewhere.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, folks. It's not about food quantity, it's not about calories, it's about quality of the food. And that's one more piece I'll say about those drugs. What's dangerous here is, yeah, awesome, the weight's gone, but you've created an individual that is deeply starved, like starved on a
Yeah.
nutritional level
Nutritional,
and
like,
starved on a vitality level. So we unfortunately in our culture think that like muscle bodybuilders, like that's healthy. That's not healthy either. Or really large, overweight folks, that's unhealthy. Well, I can point to a ton of people that look very thin
yeah.
that are way, way, way more unhealthy than an obese person. It's not about the weight. We got to get away from that as well. It's more so about the quality aspect of the
Yeah.
health. Yeah.
Because weight just adds stress to
Right. The
organs
system. Yep.
and
Hmm.
tendons and
Right.
stuff like
Right.
that. Like weight
Absolutely.
adds stress,
Price. Yep. Yep.
but you're saying you can be as or more
Yeah.
unhealthy as a skinny
Right.
person.
You think of the very far extremes, so obesity on one end, the very anorexia, right? Somebody that's rail
Yeah.
thin, or somebody that's like in some of the third world countries that don't have any food and they're like very malnourished. We know this is like a spectrum of health.
Yeah.
Obesity is a form of malnourishment. Like you'd think, oh, that person's got plenty of food. No, none of that was food.
Yeah.
And same with this. This person's kind of like avoiding food in general. So we got to kind of get back to quality over quantity, and that's why like bodybuilding is a good example of an unhealthy thing as well, because they're so focused on macros and protein and this.
Yeah.
None of that really actually matters. And people, oh, no, you got to really study food, like food and what it actually does in the body and get past some of this just materialism around this many calories, this many vitamins, this amount of sugar, all that. It's more about quality. You could eat real organically grown wheat versus a gluten-free food. The wheat's going to be way better because a lot of this gluten-free crap is so full of pesticides and
Yeah.
toxicity. But people are well, it's the gluten, so it doesn't matter if it's organic. No, it's the quality of that. The reason why people are so sensitive to breads and things nowadays is because the way that we grow our wheat.
Yeah.
It's not the wheat itself; it's the way we poison it. And so that's the same thing here. It's not people are eating too much. Sometimes that's the case, but they're not getting the right foods and
Yeah.
nourishment.
As
Yeah.
I've started to try to eat healthier,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm drawing a blank on what it is, but like just looking at pasta as an example, one of them, like there's organic and then I think it's enriched, or I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Enriched is like it's added
Right.
crap.
Yeah.
So like staying away from that and just trying to get
Yeah.
like you know organic
Real.
pasta, stuff like
Yeah.
that. The thing that I've learned about this too on my own journey, and it happens every
Mm-hmm.
day. You try to compare your health and your intake and
Right.
stuff to other people,
Right.
and this is a race against yourself,
Yeah,
and it's
well
like,
said.
you can say, well, I look healthy, so
Mhm.
I'm healthy. And it's like, and then you can kind of push it away and ignore it. But inevitably, you're doing yourself such a danger,
Right,
and not just keeping it real with yourself,
right.
like just being fake to yourself. And I feel like that's such a mind fuck where you're
Mhm.
like, I'm healthy and I'm gonna trick my body into thinking that. And it's just like
Right.
that. If you're not doing, if you know that you're eating fast food every single day and you
Right.
may look healthy, you're
Yes.
malnourished,
Exactly. Yep, you're
So
not getting what you need.
I,
Yep. So the big thing too is our definition of health in our culture, like what
yeah,
that is. But yeah, it's all based around, and you'll never see me recommend a diet, like a single
yeah,
diet. Some people are like, oh, it's all vegan. Some people, oh, it's all carnivore. Like you just said, every single person is an individual. Everybody's going to have different needs.
yeah,
I'm not going to have the same needs as my mom. I'm not going to have the same
right.
needs as an Olympic athlete. It's going to be different.
Well, when I
Yeah.
think about it, you know, that's almost like saying, say you're in any type of relationship, a friend
Mm-hmm.
relationship or a relationship, like not all people need the same amount of affection. That's why there's love languages, there's all
Right.
these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It's like to say that the same people need the exact same nutrients and not like try to
Right.
listen to your body and learn
Mm-hmm.
is just doing yourself such a, disservice. And for me, and I can't say that I'm
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? I still am eating out. I still do those things, but I
Right.
do
Right.
listen to my body and I'm like, okay, I don't react well to that. I'm trying to fix this. I'm
Right.
trying to
Right.
eat this and this when I'm eating ground turkey and non-enriched pasta and things like that.
Yep.
You can instantly see the difference. So it's like taking in that and doing your own uh, research and development on yourself and
Mm-hmm.
doing that science on yourself is so important. And I
Right.
think that just keeping it real with yourself and not comparing yourself to others and
Right.
using just excuses of like, well, I look healthy, so I'm fine.
Right. Yep. And that's when you build that, I would call that intuitive eating, or that relationship with self. You're building a lifelong, extremely important skill.
Yeah.
You miss all of that when you take those shortcut routes. So that's what I want to encourage folks to do is really build that intuitiveness with yourself, because then, like I said, that's a lifelong lasting skill. So you can start to hone that skill for other areas of your life. Oh, how about exercise and movement? No, it's not about going to the gym every day. Most
Yeah.
people, in fact, work out too much, even folks that are in certain states of illness. It's about listening to your body and saying, okay, today I really am tired. I did a lot of work today. I'm gonna do more restful
Yeah.
internal exercise. Whereas other times it's like, it's been raining for 3 days. I've been kind of inside. I feel like I've got enough energy now. I can do this. Same with foods. It's like, I didn't really do much today. I'm not super hungry. I'm going to eat lighter type foods. Or today I've moved a ton of rocks and I've been digging holes in this. I'm going to eat more dense
Yeah.
foods. So I encourage everyone out there in summary with all that, focus on real, whole, single ingredient foods, things our ancestors used to eat. Focus on quality and start to build a relationship around food with yourself to notice how you respond to it, how you feel with it. And it can be a positive experience. This isn't about like, I think diet world's all about shame and all that.
Yeah.
I'm all about empowering and helping the individual realize that um, you can take care of yourself, and you're going to know how to do that best because
Yeah.
it's you.
I think the something I really love that we always discuss is,
Mm-hmm.
the body's so similar to water.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
stagnant water
Yeah.
becomes
Good.
bad.
Yep.
Stagnant inside of your body, no
Mm-hmm.
movement becomes bad. And you can't move a leaf with stagnant water, but
Mm.
you can move the world with
Right.
moving water. And I think that, us understanding that we have
Mm-hmm.
to keep this body flowing like water to
Yep.
be able to tackle things that we have to keep living a healthy and sustainable life. And like
Right.
I meet so many people and I'm just so impressed by and it does seem like it gets better. There's people that are in their 70s, 80s that I meet and I'm like, they don't feel more than 60 to me.
Yeah.
And that's so fun for me to see. Like, I hope that's me. I hope that's
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope everyone that watches this hope is that that's them, So it's like,
Yep.
uh And I asked them the same questions, and truly, and they all are from different backgrounds, and they've all learned this different ways, but it's always, I just keep moving.
Yep.
And it's some variation of I just keep moving. I
Yep.
just keep busy. I just keep moving. And that's
Yep.
body and mind.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. They say a body in motion stays in motion, or there's a Chinese proverb, worms will not eat living wood. So things that are stagnant and dying, that's nature's signal, just naturally based on nature's laws to start breaking it down.
Yeah.
Versus things that are moving and have life force running through it that sticks around. So yeah.
Okay, so to transition, but also something that I'm just I'm so intrigued by,
Yeah.
and I'm just always so questionable about. So in the barbershop, we were asking like random people basically, at what age would you let your kids drink? Would you
Yeah.
drink with them? Do you allow them to drink? Give me your true analysis on what alcohol does to your body.
Yeah.
because I don't drink.
Right.
You
Neither
don't
do
drink.
I. Yeah,
So
we
it's
never
like
did.
so for me, it's
Yeah.
such a foreign, and the way to start it off, my favorite way that you explain it to me is it's learned. And when you're a baby, if you handed a baby a beer or water,
Yeah.
they're going to take that beer and push it over, and they're
Right.
going to drink the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I mean, it may be a touchy subject, but it's a real
Yeah.
real subject that I feel like people, just like we've said, they aren't real with themselves. They run from the lasting and real effects of alcohol. And sometimes I'll get like, well, red wine, the doctor says that keeps you healthy and stuff. And for me, it's like,
Yep.
I would ask you. I would ask a different doctor. I would ask an alcoholic. I would ask anyone.
Yep.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, exactly. Let's start just really quick with the red wine, because I always like to dismantle that fake argument. Yes, traditionally processed red wines like that are high in what they call resveratrol, which is apparently good for the cardiovascular system. However, most wine that people are drinking, like boxed wine or this watered down shit or all this toxic crap nowadays, has no resveratrol content, if really low amounts, if any, in there. And the benefits the risks, I should say, outweigh the benefits in that case, because most of the time people are drinking non-organic wine or like boxed wine. And think about anything on those grapes, they're being distilled down into its finest minute components. So the word distill, you're distilling it down. And so if those grapes have been sprayed 3-4 times a year with pesticides, all of that gets concentrated, distilled, concentrated, and now you're consuming that.
Yeah.
And so people will find they get headaches from wine, or they think it's the alcohol. If you have people then just slowly transition to an organic biodynamic wine, they're like, oh my God, my headaches are gone. It was the sulfites and all the toxicity in that wine. So you've literally just damaged your capillaries because of all those pesticides.
Yeah.
So that one's gone. And then you could incorporate much more gentle things on the body than the wines in small amounts for some, okay, but like beet juice will do the same thing.
Yeah.
Properly made water will do the same stuff, all that. So that's kind of the wine thing. People always say that, or it's better, or this or that. Most of the wine you're drinking, folks, is just toxic slop. It's just bad.
Yeah.
Alcohol, like you said, naturally as a child, if you put those in front, you taste it, kind of spit that out, because it's kind of a harsh flavor. And obviously people will say, oh, you guys are biased because we've been straight edge your whole life. But really my decision for all this when I was young was based on the health aspects of it first. Then came the more social kind of aspects. But think of alcohol. Alcohol, the word itself, if you break it down, alcohol, this is, we also call it spirits. What do people, when they consume a lot, it looks like they are sort of overcome by another spirit. They're not themselves.
Yeah. Some people even give themselves other names, alter egos.
Yeah, exactly. So there's this loss of identity.
Yeah.
And this sort of, if you want to get spiritual about it too, on a more esoteric level, a lot of ancient writings on this. That's why they called them spirits. And if you break down the word for it, the root words, this loosening of the etheric body to where other forces can enter. And so that's one aspect. But then on just the health aspect, um, again, 9 out of 10 people are not drinking high quality, organic, properly produced
Yeah.
alcohol. That if you went to the mountains of Greece and to these old farms and they're doing the wine, it's more of a fermented product at that point, full of life force rather
Yeah.
than what people are drinking. So we're just going to focus on that. For what most people are drinking here in America, Busch Light, all this bullshit
Yeah.
stuff, all of that is literally just water and poison.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there that's healthful for you. And again, most of it is creating more stagnation in the body. So it's hard for the liver to process. When we talked about first, like this whole weight issue,
Yeah.
again, that's not people are eating too much food. It's the wrong types and they're filling themselves with toxicity. So, man, I got to tell you out there, we hear about beer bellies and man boobs and all
Yeah.
that.
That's real.
Yeah, that's real. And a lot of that is caused from the beer because there's one of the highest levels of phytoestrogens in foods is beer. Beer, I forget the ratio of it. I'll have to ask her. But Sophia had shared with me once good information on this, but it's like the equivalent of like one birth control pill and a couple different beers, like the amount of estrogen, the amount
Yeah.
of hormone. So all these kind of development of tissue in men, like the beer gut and the man boobs, the beer, especially non-organic, is so full of estrogen. And again, this is phytoestrogens from the hops typically, as well as from all the pesticides in there, like the xenoestrogens.
Yeah.
Those are creating such like a war zone on the hormonal system that not only are you getting damage from the alcohol, but you're getting even more damage from what's in those
Right.
drinks. So yeah,
And that fat becomes quickly visceral fat. It's
Right.
not like
Yeah.
it's not like you're holding a water weight. You're
Yeah.
holding a true like
yeah,
that's the hardest weight to get rid of.
yes,
And
yeah.
as we talk about this, it's so hard for people to either accept it. And when I
Mhm.
start talking about it, people feel like I'm talking down to them. And I
Mhm.
truly am not.
Right.
This is an education thing. Take it and use it how you please.
Right. Yeah.
But when I have you, and I really just
Mhm.
I like these questions for myself, so it may
Right.
be, and I'm sure people want to hear stuff.
Yeah.
But
You might-
when you think of what I consider a 16-year-old being a child
Mhm.
drinking, what does that do to their early developing brain?
Right,
And if we
yeah.
can even do anything, obviously we're not going to inspire the world to not drink.
Right,
That's
yeah.
just like not something that's going to happen. But
Yeah.
maybe it'll make a parent second guess, saying, well, he can drink with
Mhm.
me if it's here. It's like what the effects it'll have on their brain. Just take the extra steps to at least try to postpone it as long as you can, at least to like what
Mhm.
even our crazy government calls the normal
Right.
drinking age.
Right. Yeah, so who knows? We don't know for sure, but it's said, and we'll go with this, that your brain's not fully developed yet. So you're putting all this alcohol in there. Alcohol affects the blood-brain barrier, affects the liver, affects the blood system, all of this. So alcohol, like innately as a substance in large amounts, is harmful to the body. It's a solvent in a way. And the other big piece of all this is, again, like you said, there's never any judgment around this. We're just talking about the topic in general.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
do what you want to do.
We just do
Yeah.
we just do what
Yeah.
we do. It's
The,
just
the biggest thing I want to encourage people here is we're talking about alcohol as a substance, but really what I'm asking for, I think what you've always asked for too, is folks out there, I want to give you permission to be yourself. Just be
Yeah.
yourself. Because if you think about it, let's just brass tacks getting down to the base. The only reason we start to get involved with things and substances like alcohol is to maybe curb some anxious feelings so you
Yep.
can be more loose.
more
with
loose, and that's what
folks.
it's
Yeah.
always said.
Yeah.
And people either always assume that I drink and I'm drunk
Yeah.
when I'm places, or b that like
Yeah.
I have mental issues or something,
Mhm.
because it's like they're like, how can you go to these events and do these things and not feel anxious or feel scared to be yourself? And I'm like, I just be myself, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'm trying to organically always be myself. And, you know, I think, like you said, you just hit it right on the head. It's just encouraging people to step away from the norm
Yeah.
and make those decisions fully based on how you feel.
Right.
And uh, I think that it's an oxymoron to
Mm-hmm.
take care of your child from birth to
Yeah.
that age, and then be like, I'd like for you to try to drink with me, or maybe that's not how the conversation goes. I'm not sure
Right.
because
Right.
I didn't have it, but Dad, I'm thinking I want to try drinking. Like, just just look it up yourself and make
Mm-hmm.
a more
Educated. Yep.
a more educated decision. And if you
Yeah.
still feel that way, and that's how I did it with my dad, so blah blah blah. And
Mm-hmm.
who are we to tell you not to? It's just trying to give you the education and use it how you please.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The biggest thing is just folks out there. You give yourself permission to be yourself, and most people haven't maybe even tried that. So give that a try. And if you
Yeah.
say, "Well, I get a little anxious, or I'm not super confident in public, and all that," well, I encourage you to investigate that rather than just drink it away or
Yeah.
kind of put it under, because that's going to create bigger problems. It's going to fester. You don't, if you leave a little pile of trash in the corner of your room and you just kind of ignore it, what's going to happen to it? So same thing here. So we start with these small, easily adjusted issues and dysfunctions. And now in our society, we've been taught, again, full circle, out of convenience, we've created big, big issues that you have to come see somebody like me and pay money to come see
Yeah,
me
and
to
it's a full
work
circle
through.
thing. It's
So
like,
I encourage you, don't come and seek folks
yeah.
later on in life for your health. Deal with it now,
And
so that
even
you
if
can.
even if the adults that watch this take offense to it, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I will never stray away from my view on it. I'll never
Mm-hmm.
judge you, but I will try to help you too. I'm no
Right.
one.
Right.
I'm no one in the grand scheme of things, but I'm someone. And when when I coached wrestling, when I coached football, when I have any impact on kids that are
Yes.
growing up, I try my best to tell them, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you guys think I'm cool. The things I do
Yeah.
you like and you think is cool.
Yep.
I am a person that doesn't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything besides be myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that I love, in a non-egotistical way, as much as I can be, I love giving that to kids and say, you can do it, man.
Mm-hmm.
You can be yourself, and you can be cool, or you can be anyone you want to be without these things. And breaking that society norm to me is so important. I'm so passionate about it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like something that you're almost scared to talk about because people that you know so closely and love
Right.
drank. And it's like, dude, I don't know any other way to tell you other than,
Right.
for me, I can't get behind it, and I just want to see it. Just please try to postpone
Yeah.
your child drinking as long as you can. To
Yep.
me,
Yeah. Absolutely. And think about, what kind of habits do you want to help instill? Everybody, I assume, out there wants the best for their children.
yeah,
And so if you can't do it for yourself, at least do it for your children. And a lot of people already do that. They're like, you know what? I eat all this junk in this way. I'm not going to let my kid have that because
right,
I know that it's bad. And they do that. And then slowly people start to sort of fade on a lot of these things. And I think a lot of that comes back again to discipline. It also realistically comes back to the level of energy folks have nowadays. Like, we're in a society with such poor quality food and lifestyle and all of the aspects that make us human, that have gotten us in a place of non-humanness, that we literally, a lot of folks don't have the energy, the force to
yeah.
make choices anymore and things that are going to promote health. So if you can start with something easy, start with something like that, just kind of analyzing where you're at. And again, we need more, and I say you as in out there on the camera, we need more yous out there. We don't need more person A drunk, person
Yeah.
B drunk. It's the
Well,
same kind of.
I mean, I just think
Yeah.
finding, just like you said, people, we need more use, and
Yeah.
that just aligns with so many things. Like, you don't have to go down a path that someone else did. You don't have to be like someone else. Like,
Right. Be you.
creativity is dying, and we need
Mm-hmm.
across all boards creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And just frankly, when I as a sober person, when I go to a bar, creativity's dead.
Yeah.
The social aspect is dead.
Right.
You are mingling between normals and zombies.
Yep.
And it's a thing that's like, it's scary. It's scary to watch people that are so out of control of their selves and their emotions and their actions. And it's
Right.
like, it's scary that you can't remember what you did the day before and you're okay with it. And it's like all those things, you know,
feel like shit the next day.
yeah.
All that.
And for me, I'm just like, I don't get it. And I'm trying to have the most non-biased discussion about it. And I hope that it comes off that way. And if you never want to hear about it again, just turn this off, because, you know, my viewpoint on it will never change.
Right.
And people are always like, well, I think it will once you grow up. And I'm like, I'm 30 years old, buddy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, well, what about like when you're 40? And I'm like, what about when I was 16, 18, 21, 24,
so-called
you know?
prime, yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know you've seen this too. You know, well, dude, we're cool.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense that, that's a joke, folks, but also real in the sense that we've all been in a place, I know you've experienced this, where you're at somewhere with alcohol at a party and they offer it to you and you're like, oh, no, thank you, I don't drink.
Yeah.
And you see that little twinkle in that person's eye that just asks you that, and you almost see like a flash all of a sudden of like the Matrix is like, zzz, zzz, like breaking out. And they're
exactly.
like,
and how many times have you seen
you
those people?
don't?
Yeah. Like,
whoa.
why?
Yeah.
Or they'll hit you with like, dude, that is so like amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's really not. You know, it's just like
you
me.
Can do this
yeah,
too.
it's just me being me, bro.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, but it is. And I'm like, well, if you find it so admirable,
Right.
why not take the steps to kind of do that yourself? You know, it's like,
it's honestly sad because I've seen those twinkles in the eyes. I've had those experiences like you have as well. And it's sad because it's like all of a sudden you see what you want to see. And what I encourage everyone out there to feel into, that spark, that ignition of there's something else, there's something more. That's your first step. That first step of like, holy shit, there's something more to this right now. And that person right there, because he's not involving himself in this mash up of everything together. He's the unique, right? Everybody wants to be unique out there. Everyone wants to be, again, I'm saying be you. That for them, it's like a glimpse into a world that everyone is looking for, but they don't realize that they have access to it. And you do have access to it. It's right there.
And how many people, you know, once you get down to the brass tacks of that, like you get to who they are. They're beautiful people. They're insanely creative. They're insanely unique.
Right.
They, you know, when you have whatever your significant other, whoever it is, they have these like quirky things and you only get to see it. And it's like, let the world see it. You know what I mean? And it's like, let the world see who you are, be true to you, and try to find, even if it's just cutting back, even if it's taking small steps, just try to find ways to expand your mind, not complain about every single thing and let that stuff overtake you, but find ways to move your mind outward and be something that you think is cool. And cool is different to everyone. And the cool is just a term that we're using. It's being, you know, the person that you find to be from your inner soul amazing. And I try to take strides to do that every single day. And once my brother died, I was like, I'll never allow myself to not take risk in life and not take huge steps to say, I'm trying to be the person I want to be forever.
Right.
And I may be a person that makes mistakes. I may say things that I don't, or I'm going to regret. I may do things that I don't fully think through. But I hope that people know that, you know, when I do those things, I do reflect. I do learn from them. I do move forward, and I do try to come back to my true self and make decisions based on what person I want to be every day.
Right. Yep. So yeah, that's really the summary of all of that, as we're advocating for becoming more of who you are and not using external things, whether it is alcohol or maybe for others it's other things that are not even substances like that.
I think
It
that
could be,
last time when
yeah.
we talked about it,
Hmm.
first time that you were here, we talked about anxiety being that thing.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
now
There
we're
you
talking
go.
about alcohol being that thing.
Right.
And I think that it seems like a common theme that is between health and,
Right.
becoming healthy is finding these convenience factors
Right.
that we're using, whatever they
Hmm.
are, and this is the easy way for us to reach this or reach that. It's like being able to do it naturally.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Because how many people have you met that, especially you've went
Hmm.
through holistic medicine and you've been around holistic people, and then
Right.
you see these people that are just like sparks of life that
Hmm.
don't exist day to day anymore.
Right.
Because most of the time what you're seeing is someone that isn't eating healthy fully all the time, or
Hmm.
isn't sober, or these things. And even like someone that's on like even harder drugs, which even is
Hmm.
just a further example of zombified,
Hmm.
which one seems like a shorter term and one's more long term. But it's
Right.
like, just imagine an experience you've had with someone that's been intoxicated, that's been you know always really negative and things like that, and feel the feeling that you had around them. And you don't want to be that kind of person. In my opinion, I don't see that.
Right. Yep.
Try to be a
Yep.
light to the people around you, and try to be
Hmm.
a light for yourself when no one else can.
Right.
Yeah, I truly believe
Hmm.
that you can be your own North Star if you have to be. And
Right.
and there's times that, we've seen in our community, people feel so lost and by themselves, but being that person for yourself, sometimes that's the only option you have.
Right. Yep. Yeah, all of these things, you can really summarize them as tools of escapism. And again, that's based around our culture. Our culture is based around that. Like, oh, look over here. Oh, watch this. Keep your
Yeah.
mind occupied here. I'll take this pill to cover that up. And there's a point where you kind of have to press the pause button on all that. And it is kind of like the Matrix movie. It's like you there is another world there. There's kind of like the grayscale world that most folks are in. They don't realize it, and so it's like that's why they turn to television or movies or social media. And then there's the real world that's full color and is beautiful and amazing. And
Yeah.
it's just you've kind of been told that that doesn't really exist and that this one's the real one. But that's kind of like low def compared to like high def,
Yeah.
kind of 4K.
That's
Yep.
100% true.
Yep.
Couldn't explain it any better myself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I just hope that,
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's taken with good intentions,
Yeah.
and
That's
people,
all.
just find some type of nugget that they
Yeah.
hold on to, and just be you, man.
Yep.
I just think
Absolutely.
being you's cool, and we need more people like that.
Yep. Definitely. Yep. Well,
Yep.
it's our time.
Yep. I can cut to basically right about now.
Nice.
Uh,
That's pretty good.
yep. That's our time here.
Yep.
I do appreciate you coming by.
Yep.
I'm not sure how long it was. It felt kind of short, but I feel like
Yeah.
we hit a lot of good stuff. And like I said, people were excited to see you. I'm glad that you came back.
Yep.
And I think,
Yeah.
just continue to bring you back, and,
Thanks.
have people ask questions, and,
Yeah.
and maybe even have someone on here that is, disagrees or has
Mm-hmm.
differing views, and we just get in here and just
Talk
talk
it
it
out.
out.
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to. And I think in our conversation that just kind of felt like a natural close, and I feel like we wrapped up pretty well, and we didn't have a script today. We kind of just
Yeah.
sat down and see what happens. So sometimes those are the good ones. We'll see what folks think. Yeah, if folks out there have questions, send them to Logan, put them in the comments, whatever. We might do an episode on that. Health questions, anything related. Um, Maybe Buckwheat will be around next time. Ask
Yeah,
some more
he's like,
questions.
yeah, I can't wait to do one with Tom.
Yeah.
And here's Tom and no Buckwheat.
Yeah.
So Buckwheat, get your discipline together. And,
Good point. Yeah.
yeah.
So send out questions if folks have questions, things like that. Be happy to answer on here. If folks are interested in more of my stuff, Naturally Tom, YouTube, sometimes. You can just kind of search that. If you're in the local area, Synergy Holistic Health Center, I do consults with folks, holistic health. And yeah, thanks for having me always, and always good to chat with you.
Yep. We'll see you guys
Yeah.
next week.
Yep.
Thanks.
Have a good one.